I have said for years, one of us was going to get shot. It was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when, who, and that's it. It was going to happen.
On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated while hosting an open debate with students at Utah Valley University. In 2012, at the age of 18, Charlie Kirk founded a conservative youth organization called Turning Point USA and inspired chapters to open at colleges around the country. His influence reached the halls of Congress, as well as the Trump White House.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully.
Okay, so what's your drawing room?
We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
Charlie spent his entire adulthood, I would say from 18 to 31 when God took him home, discipling an entire generation of 18 to 30-year-olds before they ever were converted to Christianity.
How do you think his faith impacted his political ideas?
I didn't teach him how to do that. I'd say the only thing you could maybe attribute to me is I gave him permission as a minister that that's acceptable in Christendom and in a church. He just hadn't heard that before, because every church he'd ever attended, we don't talk about that stuff. I always say he was the most misunderstood missionary in America because he saw politics as an on-ramp to Jesus. He spoke to an entire generation that was enslaved in these institutions of indoctrination, not education. A missionary goes where he's not loved, but needed, and leaves when he's no longer needed, but loved. That's Charlie Kirk.
Charlie asked Pastor McCoy to be his pastor after he was inspired by his ability to merge politics and faith. To get a deeper insight into Charlie and what he faced, we spoke with Andrew Colvett at Charlie's memorial service. Andrew is spokesman for Turning Point USA and executive producer of The Charlie Kirk Show. And as he says, most of all, he was Charlie's longtime friend.
He's been slandered and lied about by people on the left. I mean, he was none of the things they called him. And if you knew Charlie even a little bit, you knew that was the case. He was so good-natured and kind and generous. He was a bridge builder. He was a people collector. He was a fisher of men. Charlie was gracious. He was a Boy Scout. He was the best of us. That's the one you shot? That's the one you decided to kill? The nice person? The nicest one? The good-natured one, the guy that's telling everybody to get married and have kids and follow Jesus, like, that's the one?
The week before Charlie died, Charlie and I did a show together. We were talking about sort of the necessity of good men to speak up, even though there's this looming threat of violence around a lot of different corners, and that, you know, in many ways we have to accept that it can come with consequences, right? But that we have a duty to do it anyways. And the timing of that obviously is very grim looking back on it. But the truth is, Charlie was a good man who knew the consequences and decided that standing up and speaking out and trying to, you know, be a champion and a light to the youth of America was worth it. And in the end, evil people ended up taking his life.
Charlie was a voice piece for so many of us. And I think recognizing that this was not about hatred of a single person. This was about hatred for a way of life, hatred for a belief system, hatred for a faith. And ultimately, I think that the death of Charlie showed us that we're all in danger of being victims of the same sort of hate and destruction.
Charlie is a massive, massive political and cultural threat to that ideology. So you got to kill him. And that's the way these people think. It's monstrous. And I think that's what happened with Charlie. Charlie won the argument, so the next resort is not to argue with him, it's just to start shooting bullets at him.
Benny Johnson was part of Turning Point in 2018, and in 2019 became Chief Creative Officer at Turning Point USA. He watched as Charlie's impact on young people and on conservatism in America grew, as well as the opposition to his message. Charlie was targeted by an ideologically opposed system that operates almost with an intent to make people afraid to stand up and speak out. To learn more about this system, we spoke to Professor Ronald Reichlak, who has a unique insight into the impact of driving a narrative. He co-authored the book Disinformation with Lieutenant General Pachepa, the highest-ranking Soviet intelligence officer to defect to the United States.
The manipulation comes in building the whole narrative. The grain of truth is just enough so that you can believe it. It doesn't take a lot. If you can take those snippets of things, and we can say, see, he's a racist. See, he's a neo-Nazi. See, he's doing these things, and use those in a political matter. Use them intentionally to get people to start saying, you know what, I saw, and he was a racist. Yeah, I saw that too. Pretty soon, that narrative gets out there. You are creating a monster, and you're hoping the monster will carry out your objectives in the long run, but you don't really have complete control over it once it's out there in the public market.
So it doesn't end, actually. You'll never run out of people that you disagree with and don't like. And so it is dehumanizing, it's the dehumanization, and it is the permissibility and allowance of murder for the sake of preservation of your worldview and political power. And that's what they're doing when they're calling all of us Hitler. They're just targeting. They're saying, again, that it is permissible to view this person as Hitler, as the world's greatest evil, and then the threats to my family increase exponentially.
We spoke with Ashley Rinsberg in London, journalist and author focused on media malfeasance and information warfare. How does the information sphere tie into this broader agenda?
It's basically the main event. We are all sitting ringside of politics that are broadcast to us, social media. We live inside of social media. We live inside the media today. The media used to be something that we would watch at 10 o'clock on the nightly news or read in the newspaper that was outside of us, and we would kind of attend to it momentarily for points of the day. That we now are inside of the media ecosystem. It's kind of what Mark Zuckerberg was trying to do with a virtual reality. The virtual reality is the media today. So if you can control that virtual reality, you can control what has effectively become our political reality.
How would you explain to someone why this matters?
It matters because we today are at a crossroads in our culture, in Western culture and Western civilization. What seem like small choices can have very big impact. And those small choices are the ones that the people out there in the Antifa demonstrators, so-called terrorists, the people at Wikipedia, the people in the media are trying to nudge little small nudges. But again, because we're at such a sensitive moment in history, each one of these small decisions has a disproportionately bigger impact on our actual lives, on what our children are taught in school, on our ability to walk around as X or Y or Z, maybe as a Jewish person or as a conservative person, as whatever other person, without feeling threatened or actually being attacked. These are fundamental rights that are being eroded and being chipped away. And we're watching it happen. Not only that, in many cases, we're funding it. We're funding it directly, we're funding it through government grants.
The media is dog whistling. They're signaling that these people are worthy targets and that somebody needs to go do something about it and go kill them. That's the end result of these kind of hit pieces. They want to create an atmosphere of fear where I'll stop doing what I'm doing because I'm worried that I'm going to get murdered. It makes you rethink how you're engaging with the world around you. And my biggest concern is that my children won't have a childhood, a regular and normal childhood. Because these people have proven time and time again that when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. You got to take them seriously when they say they're going to kill you.
How was Charlie Kirk framed by the narrative system?
Charlie Kirk was presented, at least by Wikipedia, which is a pretty good filter for the rest of the framing, as an anti-Semite, as a purveyor of misinformation, as being someone on what they call the hard right. And Many of these cases were not supported at all on Wikipedia and in the media itself. They just make the accusation and just sort of let it stick. Basically, the broader framing is a radical who was out there doing harm to people. You're making him seem like someone who is worthy of being shot, who it may be a tragedy for his wife and children, but for the greater political good, it's actually a benefit and maybe a necessity.
It seems that a message has caused them to do that. Was it the media responding to the people, or is the people responding to the media?
Well, I think when an idea captures a nation or a movement like this, really the entry point to the debate doesn't matter as much because they reinforce one another. A number of students come to an event, they come away with their opinions, they talk about them to a newspaper, the newspaper writes it up, some other students read about it. This happens over and over several times. This issue floats up, hits at higher levels, it makes radio, TV, and it's all self-reinforcing.
How many threats have you gotten?
Thousands, tens of thousands. I get called to the district attorney's office here in Tampa because an individual was trying to kill me and my family. And so Pam Bondi told me that they had a suspect in custody. Some left-winger decided to threaten my family, describe in detail how he was going to murder me just like Charlie. And by the way, this is illegal. The statute says you're not allowed to communicate violent threats via mail or via electronics or otherwise. That's terrorism. You can't tell someone you're just going to kill them every single day of their life.
I've had dangerous packages mailed to me where the hazmat team had to come out and deal with it. Crazy people show up at my home and have to have the police deal with it. I've had somebody arrested in the last year who had a plan to kill me. There's multiple cases open at the FBI right now, presently, about multiple cases of people wanting to kill me. How could this not lead to violence is the real question.
We get death threats all the time. You know, they come, they send stuff to our homes. That's just par for the course.
What kind of threats did Charlie face, and did he ever confide in you about these?
Once he did. You could tell it shook him up a little bit. He didn't go into detail, but you could see that it had affected him. And he would say, you know, this is a dark time spiritually, pray for me. He'd ask for that. And it was never a concern for his life as much as it was for the safety of his family. The amazing thing about Charlie is, and I know that there were extensive death threats, he'd wake up every day and he'd laugh. He'd enjoy food, he'd enjoy people. He was an introvert by nature, so him being in front of people, he was dying 1,000 deaths. It would drain him and exhaust him. He'd just shut down at the end of the day. But fear never enveloped him. If there was a heavy spiritual moment, he would ask people to pray, and then he'd just put his best foot forward and go for it. It never, not once, and all the time I knew him, hindered what he did as a man. And I think we all get scared. But courage is doing the right thing even when you're scared. And you could never tell with Charlie if he was or wasn't. But you could tell when something was heavy on his heart.
It's not worth living your life in fear. You obviously take measures to ensure that you are as safe as possible. But, you know, President Trump took a bullet to the head with a full security detail from the Secret Service. I won't ever have that. In the end, I'm not going to be bitter, enraged, or like live in a hole because of it.
Charlie didn't blink. You know, they call him a racist, he'd go yawn. They would call him a racist because he insisted on properly citing crime statistics. And he was like, I don't know why we can't say the truth. Why can't we at least be honest about the truth? And it's like he would just be like, you know, they're going to write what they're going to write, and I'm going to go straight to the people, and I'm going to advance positive narratives. I'm going to advance positive ideas and a positive message about the truth. And I just believe that when you have such a powerful voice like Charlie, there is no getting around the fact that some people are going to hate you. There is just not a reality where that's not going to happen.
Oh, it says Charlie is a Nazi. Wow. You, I hate you.
Yeah. Would you like to have a conversation?
Sure. You're awful. Get off my campus.
When have I ever said anything that's hateful? Have a nice day. He can't say anything I've ever said that's racist because I've never said anything that's racist.
This is the playbook of cancel culture, and I think it's very much still alive in this country. He just loved this generation so much, and he wanted them to be free, but not just free from a liberty standpoint. He wanted them to be free in Christ.
The reason I think people pushed the narrative about Charlie Kirk, they didn't like what he was advancing. I mean, he was a traditional values, get married young, go to church, have babies, don't have abortion. He was one of those kind of guys. Whatever we can do to shut him down, we'd like to shut him down. Charlie Kirk was shot down on a college campus, not with a weapon in his hand, but with a microphone. If you disagree with me, come forward, let's talk about it. That's what colleges really at their very best should be doing. He was illustrating the great importance of free speech in the United States.
So let's not heckle, let's not interrupt. Let's be the ambassadors for freedom of speech. Cool? Okay, please continue.
I must say thank you. Thank you for that, Charlie.
Or whatever you do does not make you a white supremacist.
What is a white supremacist?
A white supremacist is somebody who takes advantage and believes that they are higher than everybody else.
Do I believe that?
I have no idea.
Okay, exactly. And so there's no evidence whatsoever, and yet people go around sloppily saying, you're a racist, you're a white supremacist. It is so destructive to our dialogue. It's destructive to us coming together as a country, and there's nothing to support it whatsoever.
What do they actually want to achieve with these systems?
The near term, they want to be able to control information totally. They want to be able to say that this is the version of the truth and this is canonical, and if you question it, you are spreading misinformation or you're lying. I think broader than that, when we think bigger, I think they're looking for something that is more along the lines of a one-party state. Again, back to the Chinese model, where they say a one-party state that has certain values and interests that it acts on and does so consistently. They see that as being very efficient. They see that as being very safe. And I think that's what they work towards every day. Who is the they? This is where you start to sound a little bit conspiratorial, but it's a loose they. It's not a they of 10 people sitting around a room making decisions. It's a they of an institutional they, of global bodies and global institutions, certain political parties and certain aspects of political parties in countries like the US or the UK. And I think that's what they'd like to see. Essentially what they'd like to see is their own ideology imprinted on the world in a more or less permanent fashion.
The Marxist doctrine tells them to assume power at the end of a gun, and that is the only and ultimate power. And so if you are a godless movement, which they are, then you're not going to have value for life. And the lives that are standing in the way of you having political power, you're going to take them. And that's what happened to my brother, Charlie Kirk, because in the Communist Manifesto, one of the first things that has to be undone for us to bring forward a communist revolution is the undoing of the church. You have to destroy the church. If you can separate people from God, then you can totally and wholly control them. That is why people that are standing for that, the tradition of the church and the tradition of Christendom are such targets. Charlie chiefly among them. The most effective evangelist of the present day was Charlie Kirk.
While the prosecution of the suspected assassin is ongoing, it appears the framing of Charlie Kirk as a Nazi and a fascist made its way all the way onto the bullet casings.
The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascists!" ! "Catch!" ! Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years.
Sadly, I wish I could tell you I think that what happened to Charlie was a one-time thing. I don't think it is. I think this is going to happen again. I think, again, the incentives have moved directly in favor of it happening again. Some of the most extreme elements have celebrated the guy who did this. And I'm worried about that. This has to end. And if you don't take drastic action for it to end, this will continue.
It feels unbelievable to me that on the streets of America that this type of violence against citizens could become so routine and accepted and cheered on by people.
Investigative reporter Andy Ngo recently spoke at the White House about how he suffered a brain injury during a mob beating in Portland by Antifa members in 2019. In 2021, he was nearly choked to death in a similar incident.
Sometimes people think I was being dramatic when I said I had to leave the U.S. for safety reasons. They might not be aware that I suffered a subarachnoid brain hemorrhage from that, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. The death threats continued. Nobody was ever arrested over the assault I just described, or the 2019 one, or any of the death threats. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a resurgence of death threats against me. Some quite disturbing Antifa militants who would post a video on social media, my face printed out, Charlie's face printed out, 5 shots to my head, and then 1 in the neck for Charlie. I reported that to law enforcement, but I have 2 other dozen cases that have resulted in nothing, so.
Did you see an uptick in these threats after Charlie Kirk was killed?
Yeah, because they were like, wow, who's next? We need Benny out in the middle of the field. Who's next? Benny's gonna get it. He can come get it. Like, let's make sure that Benny takes Charlie's place and make sure that he's sitting in the middle of a grassy field. It's demonic, man. It's extremely evil. This is a wholly lost and godless movement, and what you're looking at is actually more of a spiritual problem than it is a political one.
Cancel culture, it is a very scary thing. I was talking to my friends about this today. If you know in your heart of hearts and you have a firm foundation and you know that the cause that you're fighting for, the message that you're trying to spread is firm and like established, people can't shake that. And so people can cast stones all day long. They can hate on us and that's okay. We know that's okay. We've seen it before. We're just going to keep on rolling.
What do you think can be done to change this trajectory?
The most important thing we can do today is just to continue to report these things, to expose what's going on, and for people out there to open their minds to this reporting, to look into it, to do the deep research, to question, to be skeptical even of things that I'm saying at the moment. But it's more about open access to information and to knowledge.
People are finally going, I don't care if you've labeled him a racist. I want to hear it from his own mouth if he is or not. Where they've learned we can't trust them anymore. They've lied to us over and over. As people look for the truth, it is out there. They just have to find it, and then they're drawn to it. It's a battle we're in. Like they said, it really is a battle. The prize is our country.
Young people are not being indoctrinated anymore. In fact, it's backfired on them. And young people are getting based. And so now they're desperate. And perhaps that's why my friend is dead. Because Charlie was reaching young people at a clip and at a rate that was almost immeasurable, actually. Obviously, he was going to be president one of these days. And that's what made him such a massive threat.
I think for people like me and Charlie, his death changes nothing in the respect that we know we have to go out there and do our best to make the world a better place. Because if we don't, you're essentially just saying, you know what, I'm going to take care of my own, but I'm going to walk away and give the world over to evil. And I just can't do that.
This new woke, postmodern, critical race theory, cultural Marxist, whatever you want to call it, generation is going to destroy our country if they actually get into power. And so we have to either convince enough leaders to be able to push back against that or be able to turn the trajectory of our generation. And so what happens on college campuses does not stay on college campuses. It goes to the halls of Congress and into all of our culture. And it's very important. The battleground of America is on college campuses.
Charlie Kirk was a machine, an unstoppable political, spiritual, powerhouse. He was the most honest man I've ever met in my entire life. The most noble man I've ever met. And people say, he's done so much for Charlie. I could live 10,000 lifetimes and never equal what he did for my life and my family's. Yeah.
I think his death is going to multiply out 10 times, 100 times what he was doing. When you see someone murdered live and you get to see that, and we realize he was just talking, it sobers everybody. It makes all of us reflect, am I living a life that's worth living?
Thankfully, we live in a moral country that most people see this as utterly repugnant, detestable. And I think that this political ideology is going to, in the end, be atomized, be pulled up root and stem, and be cast into the fire.
If you were to tell our viewers one thing about young Americans and kind of what you have seen talking to them across the country, what would you tell them?
There's a lot of hope. They want a country, they want their nation, and they're willing to fight for it.
My faith was very strong before Charlie Kirk got assassinated, but I think it was an awakening, honestly, because for too long, the church and Christians, we've been content to try to live out our faith, grow, but not really speak out as much and try to change and impact the culture around us, which is really important. And that's what Charlie stood for and still does stand for. I love the quote, all it takes for evil to flourish is for good men to stand by and do nothing, which I think for me, for too long, I've been staying by and not doing much.
That moment said, hey, Jackson, you can't just be complacent anymore. That's why I heard come to the turning point again. Conservatism means nothing in the face of God. Our politics mean nothing. Our faith matters way more than all of that. And if we come together and if we find that common ground and we learn to come together as human beings.
This is incredibly personal now, and I don't want it to happen to anybody else, and I don't want it to happen to my kids someday and for them to grow up in this kind of environment.
We're hearing that from pastors across the country, anywhere from 15 to 50% growth at their congregations as a result of the assassination of Charlie. And I think that this generation sees his courage, his bravery, and recognizes what the driving factor and the force was behind it. And that was his faith in Christ and his love for this generation. And I think that if they didn't hear his message before, I think they've certainly heard it now.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love.
Well, you need to have courage, which means doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out. You need to know your stuff and find truth. And if it's not costing you right now, you're not doing enough. Meaning that people that are really sticking their head out, they're paying a price.
Nothing mattered more to him than his relationship with God. Nothing. Charlie was a servant. He wasn't a slave to anything. That's a free life. God gave him freedom, true freedom. And he lived that every day, and everyone watched it and wanted it.
Do you feel what the eyes can't see? You hear it calling way down deep. Trust your heart, it'll keep you true. This world expects so much from you. From the dark out into the light, it'll come in the middle of the night. You were raised in the sacred place. Evil runs when it sees your face. Drama calls your name, you know it's your time. Good will stand and the shadows will hide. 1,000 souls to stand your side. Take a peek more into the light. They will take your life, change your mind. Stand here and fight. Stand here and fight. They will take your every step will test your soul.